Today's lesson, we're talking about our next practical that we will be doing, and that is laminating plywood together, which we covered last lesson on how to bend wood. So in thinking about this, a couple of questions I'd like you to ask yourselves is, how does planning something simple like a joint compare to a complex process like laminating? Does it mean you have more steps? Does it mean you have to write more things? Does it mean you have to include different tools? And the answer is yes. That as you get more complex, those planning stages become more tricky to kind of work through. And that's what we're trying to do today is to help us build our planning skills and also to teach you how to do the laminating practical as well. What do you need to laminate plywood? A whole load of things. More things than you might imagine, and also some more straightforward things that you might not realize. Basic aims and objectives for today. We need to understand the basic steps to require the laminated plywood component, so you would actually be able to make it when we get back into workshops. Understand how to use the tools and adhesives safely. So adhesives is a type of glue, so how to use those safely and properly. To be better than that, you would build upon your previous planning of the finger joint to kind of independently plan the laminate manufacture yourselves, so you can kind of use the skills that you learned last time when we planned the finger joint to then move that on to be more independent and do more of this work on your own without needing as much structure that I gave you last time. To generate quality control checks with guidance from the videos, and also to risk assess the steps of laminating completely independently. So to kind of look at the risks and go, well, what are the risks, and try and write your own ones with less help. Recapping the basic concepts, this is just a repeat of what we covered before, but in lesson 3 we covered these concepts that are involved with planning, step-by-step planning, the list of instructions, the working safety, so that's how making sure you're nice and safe, using the right tools, knowing the best tools. Now obviously we've covered tools from the other lesson as well, so we actually know a lot more tools than before as well. So we've been learning those as well, and also then quality control, obviously how to make sure that we make the best product we can, making sure that we check what we do along the way to make sure it's the best it can be. So here we go, and really the core of what we're trying to do today in the lesson is to really consolidate how you plan. So planning should be second nature really. It should be like, well, I'm going to do these steps and then I will finish making my product. And understanding how to plan properly is really, really important, not only for DT, but for any job that you might get. It will involve you to plan. It will tell you to, you'll be required to plan things, to tell people what to do, to come up with action plans and risk assessments for different things that you might be doing in a whole range of different careers and jobs that you might be doing. So it's a really important life skill as well. And also to learn how you laminate your plywood when you get to do the practical. So again, it's another skill you're learning. And obviously, if we, in the absence of being able to be in the workshop, this is the closest thing we can do, because obviously we can't really get you all the tools and equipment to do it yourselves at the moment. So I've changed how you're going to do this work slightly. What I've done is we've got a playlist of videos, which is on the obviously on the linked picture on the right hand side, and also later in the PowerPoint. But what I've done is I've done the steps for you. So to try and save you the time of having to come up with the steps yourself, I've done them all for you. So that makes it a bit easier. And all I want you to consider is the other parts of the planning stage, which will allow you to develop your skills further, as opposed to spending a long time trying to work out what the steps are first. So I only want you to watch up to video 8. So the sanding the front surface is the final one I want you to watch. There are some more, and you can watch them if you want to, but they're not relevant for this lesson right now, and they will come into play later on when we talk about surface finishes. So on your worksheet, those steps will be done for you. So the first thing to concentrate on is really working out your health and safety, so your hazard and your control for each step. So try and work out what might be dangerous, what might you need to think about in terms of dangers and making sure those dangers have been controlled. The thing to think about really fundamentally is trying to think of it on your own. So try and think about the dangers that you came up with in the last step-by-step plan, and then apply those to this. If they don't apply to this, what else could be dangerous? Think about the tools that are being used, the substances that are being used, the material that you're handling, maybe the environment that you're in the workshop. What could be a hazard, and then how would you control that? You may not find a hazard for some of the steps, but do as many as you can. Next task is the tools. This should be straightforward. The video will tell you exactly what tools we're using and when we're using them for what steps. So that should be relatively straightforward and fast. What's even better this time is you actually know all those tools, because we worked on those in one of the lessons between the first planning lesson and the next planning lesson that we're doing now. So you should be much more familiar with those tools and how we go. Finally, quality control. Obviously, we've looked at this before, but what do you do to make sure each step is correct? What needs to happen? Is it a case of having to make sure you use a tool correctly? Is there a particular technique to use a tool, or is it something you need to make sure that you do before you cut a piece, or is it a particular way that you would cut a piece, whether you cut on the waste side of the line, so you've got extra to take away with a file perhaps? But it's working out how to make sure you stand the best chance of getting the best quality product or the best quality component by the time you've finished. And that is the work really. It's those three main activities. So activity 1 has been done for you to save you the time, so you can concentrate on 2, 3 and 4. So part 2 is to do your hazard and control for your risk assessment. Part 3 is your tools, and then part 4 is your quality control measure. Obviously, focus on what you need to concentrate on the most, and then see how you get on. Okay, so good luck everyone, and I look forward to reading your responses.